You might have seen this before, you might have heard it before, you might have heard about this before. On the upper right of your screen, you see the Commodore Christmas demo, which was called Commodore Christmas Album, developed in 1982. I'm not going to bore you with the music. You've heard it many times. It's novel. I actually kind of like it, but I'm just going to mute it and tell you what we're doing here. A little bit different video. Merry Christmas to everybody and Happy Holidays. Today's the 26th of December, and I am publishing 12 videos entitled The 12 Days of Commodore's Christmas Album. This is the first of the days, and I'm going to start with really yesterday. I couldn't do this during Christmas, obviously, but we'll make believe this is day one. The point of it is to talk about Commodore's Christmas album a little bit, some of the history of it, some of what I've uncovered anyway. I don't know all the history. Also, I'll talk about the demo that I created for the Foenix F256K and Junior, which leverages all the music from this Commodore Christmas demo. So I'll be speaking about musical capabilities in general of the SID chip, and yeah, there's plenty of SID videos out there, but I'll talk about it from a Foenix perspective. I'll talk about how I was able to adapt the music from inside of this assembly language program into the F256 platform and what was involved in that. So across the next 12 days, you'll see one video like this posted each day on my channel. They'll be about 10 minutes long, not too long. There won't be a single edit, so I'll be saying a lot, like that, as I often do. It'll be worse. And bottom right, you'll see the agenda for today in any case. Part of the discussion is about the series, which we're talking about now. I'm going to talk about what I call the hackathon results. And we're going to talk about one participant, by the way, it was me, and I won. We're going to talk about the first release of this actual demo and how it made its way into the F256 platform. And then we'll talk about requirements in SID and music file format. So that's today. If you've not seen the Commodore Christmas demo, it's on the, as I said, upper right. You're looking at probably the fifth or sixth of the scenes. Actually, it's the sixth scene, I think. The fifth scene. And you'll see various amounts of sprite animation, multicolored graphics, all character graphics, however, no high-res graphics. But there are sprites in some of the scenes and some animation. It's a lighthearted soundtrack. It was significant for many reasons. But we'll be getting kind of into that. So that's really about the series. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll get I'm sure the notifications every day as I produce each one in the series. I'll also be throwing this into a playlist. And what I want to get to really is to kind of talk about software development from the perspective of how do you leverage the SID chip. One of the things I'll talk about in this series as well, aside from the code they used originally, and some of the really great things about what this demo brought to the table over 40 years ago, is synthesis in general. The bottom of the screen on the right, you'll see a graphic image of a Christmas tree. That is the demo. I call it the Foenix Foenix MAS 23. So it's basically Phoenix, but I take the X, capitalize it, and that's for Christmas. And this is the 2023 demo. And I guess the punchline is I've adapted all of the 7 Christmas songs, or 6 Christmas songs plus the famous Bach tune, into the F256 demo. We'll go through that kind of midway through the series. So getting back on the agenda now, the hackathon results. I gave myself 4 days to produce something that I could take as much of the Commodore demo as I could possibly achieve in 4 days. Taking into account I had stuff going on to prepare for Christmas, etc. I was also in the middle of publishing a newsletter, which I published on Christmas Eve, and I've been working on for some time. But I really wanted to get something done, and on day one, I kind of cracked open the old program, having looked at it once or twice, at least the basic portion of it, and dove into it. I'll tell you that the kind of the first release of this product, the Commodore's demo, was released in 1982, and I remember the year very well. Of course, I was in high school at the time, actually in college, sorry, by the time I saw it, which was 1984. So as a freshman in college, I came home. I was in Berkeley, California. I came home to New York. I went to the local computer store. And back then, most of the computers, Apples and all the types of computers that were selling those days, Ataris, they were sold from computer stores, not from retailers or toy stores. So you had to go to a computer store. And I dropped into a computer store Of course, I had my Commodore 64 for about a year already, since about '83, and I sat down to see what was going on, and there was a disc, and it was playing this demo you see, and I was just blown away. Everybody's blown away by it, mostly by the music, but the sprites were interesting too, and the graphics were nice. We thought at the time, still pretty interesting, I guess. But I wanted it, and I knew it was a demo. It wasn't something you could buy. I asked the guy who worked there in the store. I'd seen him around. I asked him if I could take a copy. And I didn't really know him that well, but he said, you know what? I probably shouldn't do this, but go ahead. It's Christmas. Take a copy. Here's the disc. He gave me a disc. And he said, just don't get caught, because the owner will get mad at me. So he let me take it. I went home, and I played it for a number of years. As college went on for me, and I started working professionally, I lost track, and I don't even know where all my Commodore gear ended up, so I lost it for many years. Until about a year ago, 2 years ago actually, somebody on Etsy was selling the Commodore Christmas demo on cartridge on a real kind of interesting shaped circuit board. It was like Christmas tree, it had lights on it, and I tried to get one, and they were back ordered. I got one in probably January of last year, and I played it constantly. It was just kind of a lot of fun to kind of plug that thing into my old SX64, and I just listened to it. I really like it. And then this year, as I said, I started thinking about it, and I decided I was going to try and see if I can pull the code apart, see what made it work, and how much of it could I adapt to the Foenix platform. I thought it'd be a fun showpiece for this kind of first demo. So in any case, that's what kind of brought us to today. Part of the discussion here is going to go through kind of some hardcore nuts and bolts, bits and bytes of data, algorithms, how to address the SID chip. But another part of it is going to talk about synthesis from a SID perspective, and also from an analog synthesis perspective. I happen to have a home studio, as many people have a keyboard or various types of instruments, some virtual instruments. I have a kind of massive collection of synthesizers, I'm almost embarrassed to say. And kind of the cornerstone of my collection is a Moog Model 15 modular. So I'll be kind of talking about that in relation to the SID chip and the year that it was produced. So that'll be probably interesting for some, just to kind of see the capabilities of the SID, which were renowned at the time, are still pretty impressive, even by today's standards. So that's what I wanted to talk about. That's what the series is going to be about. I'm going to quickly jump. You can see on the upper left hand of your screen, I'm going to try and switch my window here to jump into VS Code and just talk through quickly how this program works. And we're talking about the Commodore program, which is in the upper right. And the bottom line is it takes up the entire machine practically. I mean, it's probably around, I don't know, maybe 40K or a little bit more in total size. It leverages from, I think, 0F00 up through BFFF, I'm guessing. And then it continues on C1000 to CFFF. I may be wrong on the second piece, on the first piece of that, but at least as far as the code is concerned, you can see here in this chart on the left. These are the 6 Christmas songs, the introduction, and the sales pitch at the end. And here are the sys addresses for how to kind of get the scene to roll. If you have a copy of it and you want to break it and try this. The catch is it'll only render the first screen of each of these scenes, with the exception of the intro. Intro plays end to end. But the other 7 of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Christmas songs plus the sales pitch, is a text screen that does nothing. Doesn't play any music. In fact, it will play music. It'll play the first note of the music if you execute the next sys command. But we'll go through all this and how I learned about this. But just to walk you through the columns real quick, we've got the 7 tracks. I don't have the intro in mind because it's really just white noise as the snow falls over the Commodore logo. There's a kind of a starting address of how this thing gets kicked off from a music perspective. Where does the music lie in this massive blob of data? And then there's timing, relative timings. Kind of a 13 and a 14, I call them. That's what they're called in the program, actually, which is an offset from the kind of the base of where they store the music and the data of the assembly language. The point is, these are keys that kind of clue you into where the music is stored. And I just went in with the disassembler and started poking around with the machine language monitor and looking at code and data. And it was just pretty busy for about 4 days. So I'll show you just briefly before I kind of close this session. And we'll pick this up tomorrow. The format of one of the songs. I think this is the Good Christian song, which is the first song after the intro. And you can see it starts at 4157. Actually, I can verify this by looking back at 4157. Let's see. It's none of those. So that's that address. Hold on. Okay, it's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I started, I picked the shortest song and the most simple graphics to try and tackle it that way. So anyway, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and here it is. And you're looking at the entire SID track. And if you don't know SID music, you will by the end of the series. And granted, this is again 1982. The machine was released in 82. This was produced in Christmas of 82, or released in Christmas of 82. So the folks that put this together, we'll talk about their names next time, kind of invented a format. I can't say it's stuck, and I can't say that I've followed SID music across its lineage from when this thing first came out across the 90s, and when people started putting dual SIDs, and all of these music scene people just popped up and started doing incredible things, including some standalone SID-based instruments that were MIDI connected. But I can tell you about the way this file format works, and I'm going to give you a quick preview before we close here. And that's, each format is made up of phrases, and each phrase begins with a 00. I'll tell you what that is in a second. And then it ends with a hex 40. So I'm going to I'll drag across here, and you'll see where it starts and where it ends. Okay. Forget about the ASCII representation on the right. This is the end of the first phrase, right to here. And we're talking about registers that start with 0, 1, 2. It's not always consecutive. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the operand. There's opcodes and operand, if you will. 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E, F. 10, which is 16, comes after F, right? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, we're in hex, of course, 17, 18, and then you have your 1F and the 40. 1F belongs to the 18. 40 is the end of phrase. Now, in this case, it was consecutive, but as you see, as the phrases move forward, that's not necessarily the case. I'll give you the punchline here of this particular part of the discussion, which is important, and that's the SID address of D400. That's where the first SID sits in memory. D400? I think it's D400. This is the first this is D400. This is D401. This is D402. This is D403, etc. And if you look in any memory map, you'll see what each one of these things does. And they're kind of split into groups of 3 oscillators, voice 1, 2, and 3. And then there's a kind of a master volume or master filters and other things in there. This format drops all of these bytes right on top of all the memory addresses, and then moves on to the next phrase, returning back to kind of a master controlling program which controls time based on other parameters that we'll get to. But the point is that each one of the, if you can picture a blue bar that runs down this for every click of the clock, you'll get down from here to this 40. I might have missed one along the way, but you get the idea. From here to the next 40, and that continues. In fact, I could probably do a quick search. I'm going to VS Code here. I'll do a quick search for hex 40. I'll say space 40 space. And you'll see some of these are going to be data. Like this one here is an operand for the 4, right? SID plus 4, so to speak, as they talk about them in basic manuals. But many of the ones that are on the, I guess, even numbered columns, if I can call them that, are the end of phrase. And the music continues on until you get to the very end. It ends with, I believe, a 7F. That's the end of file marker. So it's a lot of bytes to worry about, think about. I'm not trying to cram it into you right now to help you understand it, but we'll get there. And by the time this is done, you'll be very knowledgeable about how the SID works, what the code looks like. In fact, I'll show you just quickly what the code looks like. I think that's data. This is my code here. I might have just closed it. I did close it. Hang on. I said I was going to do no editing, so Christmas code. Here we go. So this is some of the code, and again, this is the Commodore code. This is not the code that I had to write. So it goes on and on and on and on and on. It's pretty it's pretty long, and I can tell you about how I found out. It's kind of some troubleshooting and some, I guess, general knowledge of machine language and registers and what to look for. If you know the Commodore machine at all, or the Commodore 64 machine, and each machine has its own peculiarities, if I could say it, their own memory maps. D020 is a magic number. D021 is a magic number. This means that it's the border color. This is the background color. This 93 is a clear screen. This FFD2 is a vector to send a character to the screen. This 01 lives into D417, which is the 17th SID register. This AF loads into 18. It's the 18th SID register, the 4th SID register, the base SID register. It goes on. So by kind of reconstructing the way I think the program worked and testing it, taking pieces of code, I was able to get this thing running. I've rambled on a bit. I intend for these to be about 10 minutes each. I'm going to stop this here. Hopefully this will be an enjoyable series for you. Give me feedback if you want to hear anything special about, what you think I'll be talking about next. I don't have a full agenda. I'm doing this day by day. But shoot me a message either on Discord or in the comments here, and I'll be happy to try and squeeze in and cover any particular topic that you like. I do have a bit of experience with this kind of stuff, and I'm happy to do more. Finally, in between each night when I'm making these videos, I'm going to be working on code during the day. And if I'll flip over to, let's see if I can get to it from here. I think I can. No, I can't. I won't be able to get to it from here. What I was going to suggest was that in the demo itself, in the Foenix Christmas demo, there's a SID player built into it. I'll talk about that, but I'll be expanding it every day, and then showing you what I did on the next day. So by the end of it all, there'll be kind of a debug mode. I'll call it the guru mode, that lets you have certain controls and see certain things about the music files. And maybe I'll even get to the point where I can add music to it, or add some sound effects to it with the second SID chip. So I'll do what I can, but it's going to be 12 days of kind of continued work, development, and talking about it. And we will talk to you soon.